Over the years, we've shown some really silly videos that show these lies that Biden spits out. I've got one that's just amazing, and it's on video. I found a funny one for you. You're going to get a kick out of this. Biden has said some pretty outrageous things in his career, some of which make no sense. Like, my son died in Iraq. No, he didn't. He died in a hospital in Delaware from cancer. Stuff like that. One has surfaced recently that I want you to see, and I want to give you the facts, okay? There used to be a guy in the Senate. I think he set the record for the longest number of years in the Senate till he was like 98. He used to fall asleep, didn't know where he was, completely senile Democrat.
You're not talking about Joe?
Nope. Got another one for you. Much older. I'm talking about Strom Thurmond. He passed away years and years and years ago. He actually died in 2003. Now, he was infamous because he used to be a member of the KKK. I'm not joking. He really was that much of a racist.
Oh, yeah.
And Biden was friends with him. Now, I want you to listen to these dates. Thurmond died in 2003. Biden left the Senate in 2009. The Voting Rights Act, which gave massive protections to minorities especially, passed in 1965. Many, 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 many years before Biden was in the Senate. At the time, in 1965, Biden was just 22 years old. You have to be 35 to be in the Senate. So it was 13 years before Biden could even have been there. But I want you to hear this quote that nobody seems to be criticizing. Why? I guess because he's a Democrat.
When I left the Senate, I was able to convince Strom Thurmond to vote for the Voting Rights Act. Strom Thurmond.
Okay, now let me make this clear. Joe Biden left the Senate in 2009, 6 years after Strom Thurmond was dead. So after Joe Biden left the Senate, he went back in time, 8, 10, 12 years, to convince Strom Thurmond to vote for the Voting Rights Act in 1965. Okay? 34 years before. Are you getting how big of a lie this is?
I'm not surprised.
Why is it not in the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Philadelphia Inquirer, every newspaper in the country? This ought to be the lead story on 60 Minutes.
It should be, but you know what, Barry? They're all used to that. That is the norm with Joe Biden. I mean, it's like, it's a huge story. It should be all over the place. But everyone will be like, that's just Joe. That's just Joe.
He just lies.
Yeah, he just lies. I mean, Barry, if they're going to allow him to get a pass for plagiarism all of these years and been lying all of these years, what's one more lie going to hurt?
But isn't this kind of a big one? The Voting Rights Act was monumental legislation passed by Lyndon Johnson. And best thing he ever did, by the way, Lyndon Johnson.
Well, you know why he did it, right?
Yeah, to get the black vote.
Yeah, he didn't do it out of the kindness of his heart.
No, and if I gave you some of Lyndon Johnson's quotes about why he did it, he referred to black people as the N-word.
Oh, yeah.
All the time, saying we will have the N's votes forever because of this.
He said we'll have the N-words voting Democrat within 200 years, but he actually did it within 60, and they're still doing it today. Joe Biden is the reincarnation of LBJ.
Just not as smooth. I mean, how can you say I got Strom Thurmond to vote for the Voting Rights Act decades before I was in the Senate?
Maybe he was doing special favors for him.
He was still delivering newspapers at that age. Okay? I'm just saying it was 57 years ago.
Joe Biden, he lies, and then he lies to try to cover up the other lie that he told the other day when he lied.
But nobody cares.
Because that's just Joe. That's just Joe.
Well, I hope who's ever watching today puts this out, and we're giving you the authority and the encouragement. Repost these things, man. You've got to repost these. People need to know what really is going on out there before they vote in November.
Well,
that's important stuff.
But Barry, that becomes the problem. If you inform let's just really quick, if I can, you inform people about what actually happening and all the truth, they're going to vote a certain way. I'm not going to say it. I think everyone knows, because informed voters always vote a certain way. This is the reason why you have a group that doesn't want people to know the truth.
Because if you're an informed voter, are you going to vote for that guy who lied about the Voting Rights Act 35 years before? No.
Right.
And you might want to have somebody ask him some questions about it, Will Johnson.
Absolutely. And I was getting ready to add to it, Barry. Did you know that they're still pushing the fact that Will Johnson can't vote today? They're still saying this. They're still saying the reason why a lot of times they're talking about voter rights, they go, well, black people, they're being disenfranchised and not being able to vote. And I've gone many places and I asked black people, when were you not able to vote? And then it dawned on me, of course, their main objective here, what they want, who they want to vote, are not black people, but illegals. That's their main objective. So when they talk about people not being able to vote, voter suppression, because you hear them saying that a lot, voter suppression, they always say black people with voter suppression, but they're actually talking about illegals, because black people can vote. Black people go to the liquor store, they get on the airplane. They know how to find a DMV.
What?
Yes. They know how to use the internet to find that.
But they can't use computers. I mean, Joe and Kamala talked about that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, according to them, you can't. But see, black people are starting to realize, I found the DMV. And it's becoming a problem, so they need someone to replace them with.
Unbelievable.